Hi, in this example, we'll continue our array mapping exercise in Amplify Fusion, and we will make our array slightly more complicated by having a subarray. So if you recall, let me run this from the last time, and we'll take a look at what we did. We basically had a customer list, which was an array of customers, and it was pretty simple. It had a couple properties. We basically mapped that to a different array of clients with different field names, and we also did a concatenation of the first name and last name, and we saw that it was pretty easy to do that without having a for loop. We basically used a map component, and there's our multi-step function for concatenating the first name and last name, but otherwise we just mapped customer ID to ID and email to contact. So let's take a look at another example, and this time let's have customer orders. So let's take a look at customer orders, and it's the same list of 5 customers, but this time they have a subarray called orders, and the orders have an order ID, an order date, amount, and a status. And we'll map that to a client's array. So again, there should be 5 of them, but instead of orders, it'll be purchases, and properties will be different. Okay, so what do I need to do? As before, I am in the hello document array map. I created some variables here. So this was customer data string. So what I'll do is I will do a customer orders. Let me copy that. And I will do add variable string customer orders string, and let me minify that. I don't need to, but I think it's a better real world example of how our data will arrive in an HTTP post, for example. And what I'll do is let me paste that in here. Set value. Okay, so here is my customer orders data. The next thing we need to do is we need some data objects. So we had a customers data object, and then a map customers. So let me do the same thing. I need a customer orders data object. I'll do a JSON sample and grab that file, customer orders. And there is our schema, or our data object, I should say. Now let's do a mapped customer order simple. And let's grab that. Okay, so what I need to do is create a variable to hold my result, and this will be a mapped customer order simple. So mapped customer order simple. Okay, let's save that. So this is just declaring some variables. I'll comment this out because we don't need to do the simple mapping anymore. And now let's do this slightly more complicated one. So let me parse that string into a document. So let me grab my customer orders, and let me grab my customer orders string. And the response will be just a document array. All right. So now what we can do is add a map component, and let's see how can we map the array with the subarray. Well, first thing, notice I'm not using a for loop, so that's important. So map customer order simple, and then I've got my customer orders, right? That's my input. So customer ID goes to ID as before, email goes to contact, and then for full name, we're going to need the full name multi-step function, And I'll grab first name, last name, and full name. So this is exactly where we were before. But now we can even do this simple subarray mapping without a for loop. So I can take order ID to purchase ID, order date to date, amount to total amount, and status to status. And Fusion will be smart enough to internally loop over the customer array and the subarray. And let's test it out. And let's take a look here. All right, that's a good sign. I've got 5 clients. And I can see the multi-step function worked. And here I've got 2 purchases. Let's take a look here for the customer orders. And it has 2 orders. Let's go to the last one and see how many orders it has. Also 2, and the last one here has 2 purchases. And look at them in detail. I didn't look at that before. Order E500, purchase ID E500. So in this example, we saw again how Fusion can do more complex mapping of arrays within arrays. As long as the mapping is relatively simple, we can do that without a for loop or nested for loops. Thank you.